Hello and welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Train a Dragon podcast. I'm your host HC and with me are.
Rush 2112.
And Wolf.
And today, guess what? We're back to the character episodes. It's been a while since we did one. Last one was Drago, right?
I believe so, yes.
We all remember
Yeah,
that horrible.
Yeah, it was most likely Drago. So therefore, we're coming back with another character episode. This time, we're doing the one, the only, Heather. Without a doubt, one of my favorite Hell's Kitchen winners. But we're not talking about her. We're talking about the How to Train a Dragon character.
One of the probably most controversial. Well, how about this? Before Vigo, Krogan, and Riker, or at least Vigo's comeback, I should say.
You know, I don't think Vigo was that controversial when he was introduced.
I know. I said when he came back, though.
I don't think. Oh, when he came back, yeah, and was there a controversy around Krogan?
Yeah, I just said that just because of the whole situation with the fifth season, but yeah.
I don't know why you think that's controversial. The most controversial character coming back was obviously Dagger.
That's true.
Everyone was so upset by that.
That's true, but I guess Heather overall takes the cake due to people still not
but
liking her.
the common thing about all of those is that the controversy surrounding them was them coming back from the dead. Pretty much, she was controversial to begin with.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
and
I'm also
kind of
being
like she went through a redemption arc in the show. She kind of went through a redemption arc within the fandom, I suppose.
I would say so. I would say
yeah.
Race to the Edge has definitely brought her back in a lot of people's eyes, to some degree.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, people had issues with her. What, the third season? Was that when she got asked to be a Dragon Rider, or was it the second season?
She became an official Dragon Rider in the third one.
Okay, yeah, that was what had the. That's what had the most, I guess, issues with people. And I mean, I guess since then they made her leave fourth season, right? And so wasn't that bad. And then fifth season she's back and forth, and appears out of nowhere in a certain episode. But that's yeah.
I think people's biggest issue with Heather was that they thought the show was using her as a way to create drama between Hiccup and Astrid, Hickstrid. But I don't feel they were, personally. Looking at when she's first introduced in Riders of Berk, I think that's more of a her and Astrid getting along thing, and I think they continue that into Race to the Edge as well when we first see Heather back.
Adding a new girl
Then
to
it
the
was,
cast for once.
But then it was Hiccup and Heather being more together in that episode. But general thoughts on her character, though?
Yeah, I personally think I thought she was like in Riders specifically in the episode she was in Riders was kind of like she doesn't cause any harm to the show, but at the same time, was she really necessary?
Well, I think it was good to add a new character. I kind of liked. I mean, this is obviously writers of Berk here, so not the best writing. They definitely could have made that episode way better and made it actually seem like she was shipwrecked. But you could tell from the start that, well, not from the start. Like the second that she was alone and stuff like that, that is like, okay, yeah, she's up to something. But I thought her character was pretty well written. I mean, she was definitely clever and cunning, and I kind of liked that. It was kind of cool to have a character other than Mildew, who was outright being an idiot and stupid and evil as well, to have someone who's like at least on the surface good and nice, and then something's going on beyond.
Yeah, actually, there's a thing we'll get to later on, which I thought about her, but again, I'll save it to when we'll talk about it. But other than that, I said I didn't find her that harmful to the overall show. Like she wasn't a deal breaker or anything, but yet I was surprised when I joined the phone line and I saw like there was this hate towards her, if you know what I mean.
And I think it's because of what Wolf said, that people thought that she was going to be like a split between Hickstrid or something like that, which
Well, I mean, the show definitely kind of played it off that way to a degree, and that's
yeah.
why a lot of people did get upset, I feel. And a lot of people also, like HC, like bringing up that thing HC wants to approach a little bit later on. We'll get into it more, but a lot of people at that time thought she was a bit of a Mary Sue. Some still do, even, but we'll get to that a bit later and our thoughts on that.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, and then
but then when
sorry, just one last
yeah,
thought on her. This she always in Race to the Edge, she did seem a little bit whiny to begin with. To me, it's like you don't understand. It's like, oh my god, keep saying that.
yeah, I will say that in Wasted Yet she got a lot better than a character.
Yes,
Like,
she gained a
but
third dimension.
pretty much. But
I mean,
yeah, there are a few moments where I think like you could have thought one thing through, or you could talk to someone. You don't need to rely on yourself all the time. But
I mean, to be
but
fair, we do only
she-
see her once in Riders of Berk and then never in Defenders of Berk, so
yeah.
Yeah,
it does
Yeah,
make some sense that we wouldn't get a real gist of who she is and her character in just 2 episodes.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Rest of the Edge, though.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just looking at
sometimes,
Riders of Berk.
yeah, sometimes it seems like someone offers something to her, she doesn't take it, and like believes what she's doing is best, but then all of a sudden later on she gets the same proposal, and then she takes it. So what changed? Why is this time better than the last time? I don't know.
Looking at that, I think that's a general problem with the show, though, not so much Heather's character, because for me, there's a lot, like, I think the character development they're trying to go for there is that she's very much an independent person. She's very much, especially by Race to the Edge,
woman that
she
don't need
lost.
no Viking.
There you go. But seriously, though, my point I'm trying to make is that it is by Race to the Edge. You have to remember, her foster parents, the people who raised her, are completely gone, and she's been practically living on her own for quite a while, we can assume at this point, right? So the thing I think they're trying to go for there is that because she's been on her own so long and for so long and so often, and she's been doing everything by herself, you do get used to that. And finding people who actually care and want to be there for you and help you, you're not going to be willing to take that offer up immediately. But when you see that, hey, they've shown that they can handle themselves, they've shown that they can be of use to me and be helpful, and that I do need them for this, I can't do all of this on my own, I'll take up their offer for now and go with it for now and see where it leads me. But I do feel like that's kind of the character development they're trying to do there, but I do feel also that it happens so quick you don't really get to see that well enough.
Okay. And one last thing to say about general thoughts for my side. Am I the only one who thinks Heather is a stupid name for this show? Like, we are living in a universe where people have names like Hiccup and Fish Legs and Snotlout, and then all of a sudden there's this modern name, which, let's be honest, you can walk around the street and come across a woman with that name. So it kind of feels out of place to me.
Personally, I like it. Like, I don't think she's meant to be a Viking necessarily. I think that's, again, kind of the show showing that there's more than just
It's not
Vikings
necessarily
in
a
this world.
Viking thing. It's like the time period.
Well, she could be. I mean, she could be from like England for all we know.
No, I doubt that.
I know. Hey, for all we know, she was like Hey, when Dagger destroyed her village, we obviously didn't hear about it. So not in the archipelago. Just saying.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Scarf.
Okay, but let's go on to
Oh yeah.
our
Hold
favorite
on.
and
That being said, she was named by Oswald as Heather, so I take that back. Anyway,
But we
yeah,
don't know that though,
that's
do we?
true. Well, no. In the season 5, the what Oswald's last will. He,
How would her foster parents know that though?
that's very true. It is kind of weird how they both.
they,
Know
they,
it.
they
That's
received
the
it.
disconnect
They
in
received her with a
seasons.
letter.
Yeah, maybe I
Apparently.
don't know, or
Yeah,
maybe it was
they-
carved in her boat that dagger sailed her away in.
Maybe.
But
No. I have a better one. It was written on her Dragon Islands.
yeah, that conveniently showed up in Race to the Edge and not in whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Also, real quick, what time frame? Just before we switch over on general thoughts, what time frame do you think Dagger destroyed Heather's village? Because obviously, I mean, Dagger's in custody for 3 years, but after the Heather report, you have until basically the end of Riders of Berk, where Dagger has been put in prison. So, had to be
I
pretty
think-
Well,
quickly after.
you know, at the same time, like between Defenders and the first season of Race to the Edge, we have a 3-year gap, which we pretty much realized that Dagger was imprisoned throughout that time. But to be honest, maybe her foster parents told her that because maybe they just maybe they were just passing by, saw the destruction, and decided maybe we should go ahead to see if there are any survivors, and they found help. So,
No,
like,
her no,
We're talking
the
about
village
her
that her
foster
her
parents.
foster parents in the village they were at was destroyed, and I think her foster parents are gone, quote unquote gone. We don't know what happened to them. We assume Dagger killed them. I don't know.
yeah.
I would
but
say that
then
happened
again,
before he was in jail. Before he
Yeah,
was in
obviously,
prison.
that's what I'm saying. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a
probably.
strong bond between.
Because
Winchie
we
and
also need,
Heather.
because yeah, exactly. Heather said that she knew Winchie ever since she was a baby. So, 3 years is probably enough time for the dragon to be fully grown.
Yeah, at the rate they grow in this show and this universe, apparently yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Animals grow up pretty quickly.
yeah,
Other than
exactly.
humans,
So,
but
so it makes sense that he probably killed them before around the time of Riders or Defenders, and yeah, we got that out of the way.
yeah, no, it was just it's like there's a pretty small window of time that happened. But anyway, so our standard
Yeah. So
favorite and least favorite moments.
standard favorite and least favorite moments. Okay, so for
Ooh.
a favorite from me is in Race to the Edge season 4, where in The Longest Day, her problem was that she lose balance all the time. And the moment where when she asks Fishlegs for help, and Fishlegs is paranoid, so he comes up with this big speech. Her face is priceless. Her face is amazing.
Okay, least favorite.
I'm waiting for
No one agrees.
This is the thing.
Nah.
Yeah,
No,
nobody
I mean
agrees.
that's a funny moment, but it's not one of my favorite.
Okay, so what is your favorite?
Oh, I guess we're gonna all do favorites and then least favorite moments. So my favorite moment would have to either be between her singing, or
Mm.
at the end of when Dagger goes down underwater, her reading the
Oh, yeah.
the last, I guess, will, or the last letter of Dagger, allegedly at the time, because that's when she finally accepts that he was good, and that was a pretty touching moment.
Yeah, that was a really great moment.
Well,
For me, it would have to be Have Dragon Will Travel, her and Astra just hanging out and talking. I think that was really great. I think that was just enjoyable. and I enjoyed that. So there you go.
Okay. In terms of the least favorite moments, or moment for me, let me think. How do I have a tie between two moments, so any of you guys want to go first while I'll settle it?
Rush.
No, I don't want to go first. You don't have to settle a tie. You can say them both.
Yeah, you can say
Like
both.
I said, both favorite.
Okay, you know what? One of them I already said in basically Edge 1. There's a thing that after she finds out her and Tiger are brothers, she's a dude apparently, siblings.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
After she found that out, she's like, and like the writers they offer her help, and she's like, no, I need to be alone. Bye. Why do you need to be alone? They're trying to help you. And like, I understand wanting to be alone in that circumstance, but you don't have to leave off to parts unknown in order to rediscover yourself. So that's why, like, I get where she's coming from, but I think it's a bit of an extreme reaction. And second of all, I just think she's a bit too lucky in Riders. We'll get to it later, but it feels like everything she needs to do, she can do.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Anything
you know what?
better than
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's pretty much what this is.
But we'll get to that in the next episode of Berkcast. No, I'm just kidding.
No, not in the next episode.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about Heather. We don't want to make her that controversial. This isn't the fish legs episode.
Yeah, Heather wants to marry Windshield. There you go. Ship sailed.
Tough nut does. Anyway.
So you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So least favorite moment. I agree with HC on the, how she didn't want help, and then how like she that also translates over to when she actually does visit the Edge, season 3. After the whole Vigo fiasco or episode, as Hiccup has said.
That was a fourth wall break.
I know. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
No, I liked it as well, but there are people who try to convince me that it wasn't a fourth wall break, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. Anyway, so when she finally gets invited back, she just when Sheer is acting all aggressive towards the other dragons, and that kind of begs the question, why didn't she do that when she was on for the short time as well? But regardless, Heather's response is like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be here, let me just go. It's like, will you just shut up and let them help you?
But Rush, every show needs the teenage angst.
Oh my god, no. I have been through that phase, please. I don't need it anymore. Actually, I really didn't have that much. I didn't have that much of a problem. All the more reason I don't like it. But yeah, and then it's just basically. The reason why I say that too is it's like we know she's gonna be a dragon rider in the end. Just let it go. It's like if they keep beating the dead horse, man. The dead stuffed yak in this case. Anyway.
Oh, dead ball bit. Anyway, Wolf.
My least favorite moment for Heather is not so much a moment in the show, it's more so what the show did. And that comes down to, I thought I think it was season 3, was it? Where she decides to leave with Dagger after they find the gold, her and Fishlegs. Oh, no, it might have been season 4.
It's season 4.
Yeah. Her and Fishlegs have that really heartfelt goodbye, and they're saying goodbye to each other. And it's definitely, like, I could see, there's a bit of emotion to that, Mm-hmm. I'm actually disappointed that they continue to have Heather back on, though. And we see her just as often as we did previously compared to this. Like, yeah, she's no longer at the Edge, maybe, but we still see Heather often enough that I feel like you've kind of wasted that emotional impact from that goodbye, and I would rather have just not seen Heather at all. so you could really feel the emotional impact of that goodbye and really see Fish Legs moving on.
Admit
And I feel
it.
like they've wasted
You
that.
hate it just because it ruined your spin-off idea, but yeah. On a
You got
serious-
called out.
On a serious note, though, I do agree. It's a good point.
I'll keep coming back to this, and I sort of want to do a whole episode on this as well, because it's such an important thing to me, an idea of how that was like a legitimate send-off from season 4, which was supposedly before the renewal, the end of the whole series. So season 5, when they need stuff, they're like, well, you know what? Let's actually bring them back. It's like we need. Hold on, it's like slap the table. We need episodes. What do we do? It's like, well, we still have Dagger and Heather looking for their father, so let's do that, right? And so I feel like that's probably the reason why they bring back a lot of things, but mainly Heather and Dagger, and Trader Johan. It's like that's the other reason for showing.
And you know, I think
brooding Wolf spin-off idea.
Dagger is one of the most popular characters from the show specifically.
Yeah.
So, and if you bring him back, you kind of need to bring Heather
at this
back.
point, you
Otherwise,
definitely have to bring Heather back. Yeah, I wish they would have tried something different, though. Personally, but I do understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my kind of least favorite
means,
Heather moment in a way.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, it's definitely good to, or it's a good point, I should say. And yeah, Dagger being the favorite character, that's very true. He doesn't have any unwanted ships. He's very eccentric, and very funny, so it works.
He has the only ship you need.
His
Dagger's boot, Savage, and Hiccup.
I knew it was going to go in that direction.
Always.
Oh, we can
And
make it go in that direction if you want to. But I'll have to speak in my voice.
It's Rush. I see it going in the direction of Fish Legs and Meat Leg. So let's just try and go in a different direction.
Dagger and Shadow Master, rip. No. I'm sorry.
No, you know what? Love Triangle. Dagger, Shadow Master, and Sluther. That's the name. Yeah, that's the name.
Anyway, speaking of, well, I mean, as we actually said, you can't show Dagger without Heather. How about that connection?
So, yeah.
Jeez, why?
Yeah, that connection.
What the hell is
and
that, man?
I'm pretty sure we talked about it a bit in the Dagger episode, but since Rush wasn't in that episode, Rush.
Yeah, wow, that means I think that season had just come out when you guys did the Dagger episode or something like that.
It
something
did?
like that. It was pretty close. But of course it was the first season, so.
It was between season 4 and season 5 of Race to the Edge.
That you did the Dagger episode? I thought you did it with Voyager.
Yeah,
we
we
did
did
the
it with
Dagger
Voyager,
episode.
but because you weren't able to be on, and then she told me that she could join. So it was okay.
No, you're right. Yeah, just because Voyager hasn't been on in a while. I thought it was one of the earlier episodes. Anyway,
like as soon as she said she's going to be on, I was like, okay, Dagger.
yeah,
No.
it's like there's no reason. And then she told us she was disappointed. I remember that. What they did. No, I'm just kidding. So connection to Dagger. I was like, okay. It wasn't like as surprising as they made it out to seem to me, because I just kind of took it in stride. It's like, that's something that'll probably be brought up a lot later and later and later and later and again and again and again and again and I mean, it was definitely a good way to drive certain plot points. In terms of writing, I thought it was a pretty good idea. They took two super unrelated things from Writers and Defenders of Berk and put them together. Heather and Dagger saying that his sister used to have a shield. Yeah, that's pretty much just how I feel about the connection to Dagger. It's okay. I like how it actually develops in the end. I like kind of how she took the idea of betraying Dagger by season 2 getting on their side. Then season 3 there's not much of it until right towards the end, Family on the Edge. And then he comes back season 4. Uh, and I guess from there, it's really just like her getting warming back up to him now that he is good, and so it's definitely an interesting dynamic, and I kind of do appreciate that they did it in the end. But like I said, at the very release or the reveal, it wasn't like too at the time like okay, but now that I look back, it's actually still it's a pretty good thing.
At the beginning, when it was first revealed in Race to the Edge 1, I thought that because Heather was again like in Race to the Edge 1, Heather was again only for 2 episodes, and in the rest of the season she was nowhere to be seen.
Well, it was the last.
So
like, it was 11 and 12, right?
yeah, it was near the end of the season, yeah, but you know what I mean. She didn't play that big of a part in the entire first season. She was there for 2 episodes, and then we didn't see her again. But so what I thought was that they just pulled out that plot twist to, for the sake of having a plot twist. So it'll be, oh my god, I didn't see that one coming. And because she was so fixated on killing Dagger, and they couldn't do that because he's the main villain at the time, that we needed to keep him alive. Because what other reason she'll have to keep him alive with everything he's done? So I just thought it was like an effective plot twist, but one that was just there for the sake of it. Now, dancing actually in Race to the Edge 2, they actually started playing with it, that she makes him think she's on his side, but then it turns out she was acted a double agent, and then when she was sentenced today, he saved her, and then in season 3, she hated him, but he wanted her the best for her, and he sacrificed himself. And everything from there on out actually made me like this connection, and that relationship as a whole was actually. I like it that I like the moment in Race to the Edge 4 where they both have that crazy scream together. It's like, yeah, I can tell that they're siblings, and I'm glad they're together and running the Berserkers together. So overall, wasn't sure what to think at first. I'm really liking it now.
Okay. Wolf?
Oh man, I do not remember what I said about all of this in the Dagger episode, to be honest.
Okay,
it's been a while. But
he'll just reference. It's like, yeah, if you want my true opinion, just go to the Dagger episode.
Yeah, just go to that episode and watch that episode. You'll probably hear pretty much exactly what I'm going to say now, which is I kind of agree with everything that's already been said. Like it was an interesting twist.
This just in, Wolf agrees with himself. News at 11.
Oh, I was also referring to what you two just said as well.
Oh, okay.
This just in. HC dumb. Wolf cops out.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
sports delayed to 12.
But I mean, it was a twist that I don't think anyone saw coming, and I think it works for the most part. It's definitely a little bit. I think, it could have not worked. I think they handled it fairly decently okay. It was definitely something that was a very kind of random, possibly, and definitely possibly also a spur of the moment. But again, they made it work, and they've done a lot with it since its introduction, right? And it's definitely become something that I think a lot of people enjoy for that fact. So, yeah, overall, no complaints.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
on that no complaints real quick, I do have to say I haven't outwardly noticed a lot of complaints about it, so that actually does say that either it's something that's not noticeable, which I highly doubt that, or it's something that they've written somewhat well. So
Actually, one thing I wanted to ask, do you think that twist was intentional?
Since Riders of Berk, or since Race to the Edge?
Like, since Race to the Riders of Berk. Like, do you think... Okay.
Because I didn't think they knew they were ever going to get another TV show out of it.
But not even that. I don't think they intended to do it that way. I just don't think that was their intention from writers.
Oh
of
yeah,
Berk.
yeah. So they never even planned it out, right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's like yeah, there's
It
no need to
worked.
make it happen.
Like it worked for them. Again, I think it only works for them because they were just vague enough about things,
Yeah.
right? And that's why it works. But I don't think they intentionally planned it since writers of Berk.
I mean, yeah, like a lot of Race to the Edge stuff. Some of it has been taken like from writers of Berk without ways that could have been that they probably never thought about. Granted, because some people are the same people are working on that stuff, right? But it's like they go back and like, how can we make this work? In a lot of cases, how can we reference this, right? So the people who did watch are like, ha, I get it, right? But I agree with Wolf. It's something that you'd never really plan out. It was definitely, and it did work. I don't think it was spur of the moment. Obviously, they had to write. I think they knew they were doing 4 seasons from the get-go, so they sort of had to plan it out. It was definitely one of those boardroom ideas, like, what if we make them brother and sister? It's like, brilliant, you're hired, right? No, but it was definitely.
Actually, it will be funnier if they were actually drunk when they decided it.
All great ideas.
Yeah. But we'll never know until John Telegram replies to our damn tweets. Anyway. No,
Yeah, but I'll say that if it was intentional, I'll say maybe when they. I'm not sure how early on. Like, I don't think it was when Heather was first introduced. Because wasn't Dagger introduced after Heather in Minders?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think after they played with Dagger more in Defenders and stuff, they actually maybe then they had the idea of connecting them in future seasons. But other than that, like not necessarily from Riders, but it was before before Race to the Edge. I'll say that much.
Possibly. I don't know if I still don't know if I would say that, but it's definitely possible at that point. Yeah, I would agree.
anything's possible when we have no idea what's going on in the writer's heads, which is about 90%
Yeah.
of
Though
the time.
the writers want to help out and come on the show, if any of the writers want to do that, we'd be glad to have you.
Yeah, there's no such, well, I guess, season 6 spoilers, but as long as we stay away from that, we don't bite.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't
Berkcast
bite.
exclusives, though.
Berkcast.
Watch the Berkcast.
Yeah, right.
And you might get exclusive spoilers for season 6
God.
if a writer ever comes on the show.
Freaking Icelandic eel
Yeah.
just showing off all of his connections and crap. Like, remember that episode that we had him on? That was insane. It's like, oh yeah, I talked to those guys. Like, I could just call him up. He's like, it's pretty easy to find. It's like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
I'm sure if we asked.
We'll have you, Icelandic Ale.
yeah, no, we love. He's a
Anyway.
really cool guy. Anyway, but speaking.
Anyway,
of cool,
next up, people say that Heather is a Mary Sue. Do you agree? If I may be first, I'll say Raiders of Berk, yes.
oh, so we're
That-
splitting it off.
That's all?
Yeah, that's all. Okay.
Any more?
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Okay, let me explain. You know what? I'll
So
say
hold
this.
on, AC, real quick. For those of you who do not know, a Mary Sue is basically a character that can do anything.
It's an author's insert. It got its name from, it got its start, like the word, the phrase, the definition got its start from basically female authors who would write Star Trek fan fiction, if I'm not mistaken, and they would insert characters into Star Trek who could do anything, who were amazingly smart, amazing at everything else, and always had multiple love interests from all the different Star Trek character crew, right?
Yeah.
But it's someone who is considered an author insert who is just too good at everything and better than everyone else in the story, character-wise.
Anyway, continue, AC.
Okay, so there are certain moments in Heather's report in Riders of Berk where she feels either like a fan fiction character or a Mary Sue, more specifically a Mary Sue, because she doesn't really screw up her plans, if you know what I mean. Like, she's bad at the beginning, but then you realize she has a motive and a reason, but like she tries to steal the Book of Dragons. She succeeds. She tries to train Stonefly and take her out for a flight. She does that, even though they say later in the episodes that you don't only need the book, you only need to pretty much have skills. So she mastered those skills, or developed them, I should say, in like a few days, a week at most. So that's a bit Mary Sue-ish to me.
Technically, that's not as bad as Mildew mastering it in just one night.
Yeah, really.
Well, yeah.
He's the prettiest Mary Sue of all.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see some girls, buddy. But anyway, what did I want to say? But she does have another thing with Mary Sue, that she has multiple love interests. Let's think about it. There's fish legs, which they actually built upon. People believe that they tried to that the writers actually decided to hook her up with Hiccup, which is why they had it so much, because it stands in the way of Hickstrid. And to be honest, I kind of saw that. And Snotlow hits on every girl he sees, and even Tough Nut.
Yeah, calls her the pretty one, right? Astrid's jealous of the pretty one.
Yeah, so it's like, it doesn't seem weird that there are 4 guys going after this girl. That's a bit very Sue-ish.
And like, she's just, again, going not to go to everything. Granted, you'd never see her build these skills, right? But she's like really good at sneaking around as well.
Yeah. Well, at least she mastered the Sly Cooper school. I'll give her that much. But
oh man.
What?
Unfortunately, you hit the nail on Riders of Berk, so we can't really say much about that. But let's see if you leave anything. Let's see if you leave any stone unturned at Race to the Edge.
Wait. There's one stone. There's one stone I didn't turn. I do want to talk about this. There are people who confuse a Mary Sue in particular to just a fanfic character, and to be honest, I think Heather is more of a fanfic character, because let's think about this. They found her in a shipwreck, and all of a sudden she goes into this backstory of how she was attacked by pirates, and then of course Hiccup, the good doing hero, invites her to go to Berk. My father is the chief, and the chief, he'll be happy to have you. She stays at Hiccup's home. Thank you, Hiccup. You're welcome. You know, I've read so many damn fan fictions with this kind of setup, and not to knock all of them. Maybe. Although, to be honest, but you know, it's not necessarily to knock those fan fictions off or anything. Like, to be honest, some of them were pretty entertaining, but this setup in particular reminded me of that. It reminded me of the certain structure of it.
Just to bring this up, let's not forget, Mary Sue started from fanfiction, so I don't think you can necessarily you can't like say these two things are separate, because they're technically not, because that's where Mary Sue got its start, so it's still a fanfiction character.
Yeah, and HC, you're kind of separating the plot from the character, really.
It's very much a fanfiction-y trope sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's,
Okay, point taken.
That's become more of just a general story trope thing as of now. But I don't think she's absolutely terrible in Riders of Berk.
But here's the thing, though. Just because it's a fanfiction trend doesn't mean like that when I'm watching an official...
Well, I don't think it's a fanfiction trend anymore. I think it's just a story trend in general now for anything.
But I just saw it more in fanfictions, actually. Maybe I'm just not remembering anything
I think you'll see it more in fanfiction because it's more of a beginning writer mistake, and you're generally going to see a lot more beginning writers in fanfiction, right? You shouldn't see writers professionally making this mistake.
But here's my point. That, with all due respect, I believe the writers for the show have actually done some stuff before doing this show. So, was it really like the if this was a fan fiction that Heather was an OC or something, I would have accepted it. But um, something tells me that these people worked on stuff before, so them going back to like very beginning of a writing career, just I don't know, and yeah, you can argue it's more story, not necessarily the character, but she's a character in that story. So
Oh, I agree. I think they could have done it better for her introduction, but in what we got wasn't absolutely terrible, so I can't complain too much. And it was only for again like 1-2 episodes, so there's not enough there to really say like to dive into like there is compared to Race to the Edge maybe. And again, like I've said it in the past, I don't think Heather's introduction is awful. Like I don't have as much of a hatred for it as some people did back at that time. And I saw it as very much more of a Heather and Astrid episode than it was Heather and Hiccup at that time as well. But again, even but with all of that said, like she definitely comes off as a bit too perfect in those 2 episodes. I think they allowed her to do too much, even though she was caught. Like she still managed to escape on her own power and do everything by herself. Like it was very much, she was just too good at that point.
She could freaking hold herself up like horizontal on the ceiling in between 2 beams. That's pretty damn strong.
oh yeah, yeah, that was yeah.
Anyway, so
But
Anyway,
moving on to
but
Race to the Edge.
yeah,
I
right.
won't say that in Race to the Edge. I won't say she's as much of a Mary Sue because she does make mistakes and she's a more troubled character. I'll say that she has more things to handle with, and she doesn't always make the right decisions.
Mhm.
So she's not much of a Mary Sue there.
Fair point. I just had issue with how overpowered her double-bladed axe was at first. Just saying. Looks like it's
Yeah.
a pretty crappy, put together thing with just different sheets of metal, yet it can cut through a whole sword, right?
Well, it's from Windshear though, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if we are going to pick up everything that Toothless's tail shouldn't have survived but survived, yeah, like sometimes plot convenience. I will say this in terms of the rest of the edge. I just thought about it. That notice that in Riders, Hiccup accepts her and Astrid doesn't. But in Race to the Edge, Astrid accepts her and Hiccup doesn't necessarily trust her right off the bat, or at least doesn't get her. If you want to be,
I would disagree a little bit there, but it depends on how you look at it.
In
But
the
I mean,
second season, because Astrid knows Heather's being a spy.
well, yeah, looking at it in the second season, absolutely. There's definitely some more going on there, right?
Absolutely.
Overall, though, I would say Race to the Edge definitely improved her character a lot. Like they took that driven aspect we saw in Riders of Berk and gave her something that was really really drive her forward. They gave her things to focus on, and they showed her off as, like HC said, that she's not perfect. She does make mistakes. That she can get caught. She isn't the best at everything, and she does have her moments, and she is skilled. But we see that skill isn't as good as everyone else is in what they're skilled at also. Like we see the mistakes and the faults, and that's very good. Like we needed to see Heather be kind of muddied up a little bit. That's what she needed it, and that's what they gave us, and I can definitely say Race to the Edge improved a lot as far as her character was concerned.
okay. So one of the to the next topic. Do you guys think she was a good addition to the Riders when she officially joined in? I think she was a fine addition.
Yeah, it's a little, hand in hand. That she became one in the end, just with how much interaction she was having with the writers. One thing that I do say is, it was I knew a lot of people didn't like that she became a dragon rider, and I was fine with it. But For one, I think I was fine with it because I just wanted there to be. It was kind of interesting to have another Dragon Rider. Maybe not necessarily if it was Heather. Windshear was a cool idea. That would have been great if they had. But like if they had written Heather to be somebody different, I don't know. Maybe it would be. I don't know, more accepted. But I'm fine. I was fine with Heather being a Dragon Rider.
Yeah. I mean, you're never going to hear a complaint from me. Like I said, even when she was first introduced in Riders of Berk, I still liked her character and the potential for her. And even now, I still like her character, and I still enjoy the potential for her character. And they've definitely done a lot with it, and I enjoy it, and I don't hate it. It was fun. No complaints from me.
And we need more like different types of people here. Like this is one of the most controversial characters, and we're just like, yeah, she's pretty good.
Well, maybe
I don't think at this point you're going to find too many people who really dislike her character.
I guess, yeah, because the timing, everybody's gotten used to her, and she's actually been written a lot better since season 1. So.
Yeah, I think also one of the reasons people didn't like her as much at the beginning is because, again, she was there for 2 episodes and then never mentioned again.
Yeah, right.
And all of a sudden, and we didn't really get to know her. She was a character who moved the story along. Now when she was, even in the first season of Race to the Edge, where she was only for 2 episodes, people got to know her. Like who would have thought she has a thing for fish legs before this? Now we know. So,
yeah, and let's also not forget, she definitely came in at a time where people were like, we want Hickstrid, we want Hickstrid, we want Hickstrid, we want Hickstrid, and they didn't get it, and then they see this character come in and maybe interrupting the Hickstrid, like, they don't like it. That was... It was a bad time for Heather.
Yeah, really. Of course.
Yeah.
Ill-timed.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but thinking about this, until Race to the End 4, Riders of Berk is actually the only season up until Race to the Edge 4 where we had a bit of Hickstrid. So...
No, Defenders of Berk had a few moments too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean...
that's Race to the Edge season 4 was when Hickstrid is very much on the nose. It's very much it's here now. Before then, it was very much quiet, more subdued moments, and it was also very much they're not necessarily together yet, sort of thing. Like they're going off of that. Again, I blame that on the first movie personally, a little bit more so than the show, but
I blame the show.
Different opinions.
Okay, so I am just to show you how much unprofessional I am. I actually forgot to put this next category in the script, but let's do it anyway. What do you guys see in Heather's future, and should I say, the latest season of the last season of the show? Do you think she will die?
It's possible.
But then again, unless you're Riker, who really dies in that show?
Or Heather's parents, or Shattermaster, rest in peace, wherever you are, missing in action. If Dagger ate you, I'm sorry. If he fed you to if he fed you to Sluther.
Why do you still think Dagger ate him?
It's Dagger. He would do it.
Yeah.
Just like he ate Heather's foster parents, possibly.
he ate them? I just thought he killed them, but okay. Again, you know what? Next week on the Berk, cannibalism in How to Train a Dragon.
We can already reference several places. Grim Gnashers, male razor whips. Actually, Grim Gnashers, that's not cannibalism, but male razor whips. Yep. So.
And the tribe of possible cannibals. Maybe that was a joke. Hard to say at this point.
Oh yeah.
And also, do you count the death song?
No, because that's just hunting, unless it eats its own. Remember, cannibalism is when it eats your own, right?
True.
That's why I said Grim. That's why I took my question back, or my Grim Gnashers comment back, because that's just scavengers.
But looking at Heather's future, right? Like I said in the past, I thought, it'd be nice to see her and Dagger go off searching for their father. Well,
Yeah,
that's not going to happen anymore.
killed it.
That's I'll in my head canon. This is a proof that the writers are listening to this show, and then they said, "Well, if Wolf thinks that way,
Yeah, it's like
I guess
we
they
get it.
gave me what I wanted.
It's like, stop everything. This guy wants a spin-off. We can't let that happen. We have to rewrite the whole season.
But sir, our finger is hovering above the render button. Rewrite it, okay?"
Yeah, no, that's the reason why they go back to Vanaheim. They had the perfect ending, leaving that like Easter egg right there. It's like, crap. What do we do? How do we find him? You know what? Let's just go back to Vanaheim. It's like, let's just be more on the nose with that freaking bewildered beast skeleton man.
Yeah.
I'm still miffed about that one.
Okay. So, anyone else have anything to add on this?
I mean,
Stronger the moment.
what do we see for our future, right? It's
On a more serious
possible.
note.
Yeah, personally, I think it's very possible they might kill her off. It's very possible they might kill a character off at this point. Who knows? I think we'll probably see Heather kind of go the loner route again eventually at some point.
Just to be
And
clear,
go off on her own.
just because I bought the idea of killing her, it doesn't mean I want them to kill her off. I'll be just happy knowing that her and Dagger are, running the berserkers and don't have time to meet with the riders anymore.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think, personally, I think they might end up getting rid of a character, right? Killing them off. I think it would be Dagger, and I think that Heather's going to take the kind of, all right, well, I'm very like Hiccup in certain ways, and I want to explore the world, and that's what I'm going to do. Or if they even don't kill that Dagger off, some random savage, he wants it, let him have it.
So, one thing, I will agree with you there. I think 2 people are going to die, because the traitor always dies, and take that your own way, but you know who I'm talking about. And I agree, it'll be... I think it will probably be Dagger, because if it's not Dagger, if it's Heather, right, and Dagger's like, well, that sucks, and he'll just go back to leading Berserkers. Like, he doesn't have anywhere to go other than Berserker Island. Heather is more likely to leave. Either way, you're not going to see him again, right? But for the point in taking, I feel like if it's going to be those 2 people dying, Heather / Dagger and unnamed person, again, for spoiler reasons, I guess, for those who haven't watched the season 5, not that I haven't spoiled it already, it's going to be like a I take you out with me, or they both accidentally go, or something like that. But I feel like it's like, if I'm going, I'm taking you with me kind of deal. Season 6 prediction, baby. But yeah, I agree. In the future, one of them, somebody will go along the route. The thing is, though, if the traitor always dies, like, both of them are traitors, Dagger and Heather, anyway. So maybe everyone dies in the end.
They all die.
Everybody that's not
up
part
and
of
just destroys everything.
Everybody that's not part of How to Train Your Dragon 2, gone.
No, they die too.
Well, later, but
that's all. No, they all die now. That's all lost, essentially.
Oh, and then Hiccup wakes up and it's just a dream.
No,
for the love of no.
It's lost. We've just not seen the smoke monster yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll see the smoke monster in the 3rd movie.
I saw the smoke monster coming out of Stoic's chest in How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Oh, yes. That might be where it came from in the 3rd movie. That's where it all started. Stoic was already dead at that point and somehow died again.
Yeah.
Okay, no, what are you talking about? He survived. Toothless's plasma burst hit this and just barely missed him.
No, what happened
was a rock.
He
There was a
died
rock
and raced to the edge, and Toothless's plasma blast killed him again, but because he was already dead, it brought him back to life. There you go.
Theory crafting
Okay,
with
this
Wolf.
is this is hurting my head. So
It's Lost. That's what Lost does.
Yeah.
I'm about to lose my mind if that counts. But, okay, but anyway, just a bit of an interesting HC's tales from outside the US thing. Heather actually had two voice actresses over here, one for Riders, the other for Race to the Edge. The Riders one kind of disappeared off the face of the earth because I couldn't find anything about her, not even her name, so no comment. The one from Race to the Edge also voiced Buttercup in the Powerpuff Girls, and she was also Pearl in SpongeBob.
Oh.
and she's also voicing Supergirl every now and then.
Cool.
Yeah, can you imagine Heather as one of those roles? That'll be interesting.
All right.
Give me fan out. But anyway, anything else you want to add about the Berserker leader, one of them?
Nope, I got nothing else.
Okay. Wolf, you got anything?
I've managed to bring up the fact that I think Dagger ate Heather's parents, so I'm good. Or foster parents, I should say.
Okay. Legit. And
but
anyway,
there's one thing. HC, you said Rush needed to get out more when he said Mildew is a wonderful...
No, I said HC needs to get out more.
No, he said...
he said I need to get more... I need to see more girls. Yeah.
Yes, that... Mildew is the prettiest princess, by the way.
Yeah,
Don't ever deny that fact.
Don't judge America's beauty standards. Tales from outside the U.S. My butt. Jeez, come on, man. You obviously don't know true beauty.
To be honest, from unreliable sources, I believe... You know what? I didn't think this joke through. I have no idea what I was about to say.
Well, I have from reliable sources that you're not funny. Moving on.
Yeah, said the guy who laughed at most of my joke this episode. So yeah.
Rush is IRL savage. Anyway.
This has been the Heather episode.
Yes, plenty of roasting.
Yeah, so like that's let me close the episode, damn it. Oh, you see, he laughed. That means
that's because it's situational, you fool.
You laughed. It counts.
Whatever closes the episode faster.
Yeah, so that's been all for this episode of the Berkcast. We hope you enjoyed. If you've got anything to say to us about Heather, or to decide if Rush is a hypocrite or not, or if I'm funny or not, I'll accept if not. Or if you want to give us that Heather as Supergirl fan art, asking for a friend, you can do all of those things through the Berk Farmvine forums. We're all there. On Twitter, we are Berkcast with capital B, capital C, and on Tumblr, we are Berkcast Team. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Rush.
And I've been Wolf.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.